All right. Well, number 7. We made it here, folks. We're back in business. Lights up, symptoms background on, and craziness. The last time I made an episode 6, probably, I do hope. I kid you not, gold might have been in the low 2000s, probably not even mid 2000s. Maybe it was, but I really don't think it was, just because of how often I think about making these episodes and how often I actually do make these episodes. So, tons of craziness. Not starting with the DXY, although that too, not looking too great. Of course, you can always extend it out. 2022, whatever. God, let's say it was even a year ago. High 2000s. So maybe that's where it was. I mean, what a time. As a gold bug, with heavy overexposure portfolio-wise, as you can see in my watch list. As you can see, it's almost all gold. Slight bit of tech. Some remember when they IPO'd Newmont. Can we just talk about this real quick? Give me the little 22% surprise. How could you be surprised that the largest gold mining company on earth beat earnings when gold doubled by 22%? I'm analyst anyways, as they say. Yeah, pretty wild, pretty crazy time to be alive. And what does this mean for all of us? I mean, my gosh. Could we overlay the DXY on this? If only we had great data for everything. But we got a bunch of stuff. Silver as well. Revised data that I definitely wanted to get into. Shout out to Peter Schiff. Every time the Peter Schiff Show podcast comes out, shout out to that every single time. Because he talks about last year, or because of the government shutdowns, this, that, and the other, different reasons, kind of on and off. Data coming out of the government has been slow, and revisions always happen. And I really don't understand, besides emotional trading, buying and selling, why revisions don't affect the market more. Because last year just got revised from some like massive beat, several hundred, 150,000, 200,000 jobs, down to, and we'll come back to this more too, I had Perplexity pull more on this, down to an average of 15,000 a month, which is pretty terrible. But the markets don't take, I mean, if you call that at least more accurate, I mean, the more accurate number, say if it was 200,000, if they revise it all the way down, like that was 1 month versus average monthly, the more accurate number being close to 15,000, but that doesn't harm the markets at all. They hardly react to revisions at all. It's whatever the hype is first, so they can trade on that sentiment, and then they just move on beyond that, which is, I mean, interesting. They're just skipping the fundamentals for emotions, I guess. I don't know. So it means 2025, terrible year for jobs, not a great year for inflation. Today, officially, tariffs get struck down. We should have just pulled our backs, because, I mean, Mr. Trump, I know that he immediately tweeted on this. Let's see it, folks. I guess he doesn't retweet his own tweets. Truth Social's my bad. Dual Cybertruck. Using the wrong law, so he picks a new law, he signs a new tariff into existence. So I guess this was posted 7 hours ago, so say it's around then. Scott Bessent, dude, that guy makes me wonder. Thanks, David Sachs. Yeah, he just switched the basis for the tariffs. So those got changed. We'll see how it goes. Our company's going to get refunds on all this money. I mean, the companies do, but the people that paid don't. The companies technically foot the bill. I wrote an article on this a while ago after all the tariff hype was happening, but long story short, you have a shipping container come in full of socks, it gets inspected at the ports, It's allowed in, stamped in, boom, on their shipping receipt. Basically, they stamp, hey, these are your tariffs you pay. Where does that paper go? The bill of the tariff, where does that go? It doesn't go back to China. It stays right here in the U.S. and it goes to the company to pay the tariff bill. And I should have pulled up also. Now let's not mess up our flow. I guess we still are, but can we talk about Kimmy 2.5? We should, because I think it's great. I could go bumbling around and trading to even find this, but and I know you can hear my keyboard typing, but it's okay. It's only episode 7. Episode 70 is going to be a lot better, by the way. But the trade deficit swells. So if I'm not mistaken, say we're calculating this right now, imports went up, exports went down. How much worse could it be? That might be exactly what you don't want. Okay, so total annually 900 billion. Hey, it's down slightly, save 3 billion. Third highest on record. So the change. Exports went up from 2024 and imports went up the same amount. Goods deficit. Apparently they used to call it merchandise deficit. I don't really know why it changed that. Department of War, I think, makes sense because we want to sound more offensive. That, I don't know. Exports grew for 2025 while imports rose to a record 3.39. I mean, it's been a year. Has the substantial amount of factories come online in order to balance out the numbers? Seemingly not, but there is an attempt. There are definitely companies, Rockwell Automation. I mean, you could say Anduril too. I mean, that's all U.S. made, big factories doing stuff. Optimus is being made, same factory, and they're cutting other stuff, I know. But I mean, there is stuff being made here. You have, what else? Qualcomm's in Boise. That's, I believe, officially open for making chips. Or is it storage? Maybe chips and storage, but probably just chips, I would think. Qualcomm's there. You have Samsung in Texas. And then TSMC in Arizona, I believe. Texas, Samsung, they cut their plans because they couldn't find customers, which is crazy because we're all in a chip shortage. Then they raised it again. Samsung on their campus in the U.S. Plans cut, then reinstated. So that's AI flight need to be non-specific. But I mean, it is hard to imagine what a $40 billion investment in a building does. I mean, goodness gracious. Oh, to get direct funding. Oh boy, are we subsidizing more? $37 billion in Texas. I was pretty on the money for that, and I've not read about this in a while. Timeline days, yep, investment cuts, renegotiate incentives. Now, if I remember, Tesla put in a huge order, and they said, okay, we can go ahead with this. Although I think Tesla's working on building, I think they're on AI 5 right now, and they're rebuilding their own clean rooms. Despite setbacks, Samsung has reaffirmed its dedication to the project. The company states it remains fully committed to commencing operations by 2026. Hope so. CHIPS Act's funding again. Hey, at least it didn't take a stake. You know, granted, Samsung isn't publicly traded here, but you can get it in ETFs. Still remains fully committed. Oh boy. So we'll see how that goes. With tons of money coming in. Another thing I hate. $19 trillion has been invested in the U.S. 19 quadrillion. Like, until the money moves. I mean, are they even signing papers that say this? I don't even think so. I think they just say that they will. And then we talk about it. Those are going to be some good paying jobs, though. Yeah, that you can believe. Anyway, so huge money coming in. Trade deficits expanding. I'm going to get to that part, really. Deficit widened sharply in December to $70 billion, up from $53. Guys, he's been president since February, ran on this whole thing. With tariffs coming off these next few months of imports, exports, as orders get redone, will be interesting. 10% blanket tariff on reciprocal tariffs on surplus nations. Oh my goodness. So let's get to national home prices. I want the home sales. Median listing prices down 2.9% over last year. Active inventory up 7.3%. New listings up 4.8%. But the housing sales, the most recent numbers, if I pulled it up in here, nope, dropped to a severe low. I mean, I heard that their housing sales lower than 2008, which just seems insane. So prices up, listing prices down. Late 2025 year over year. Active inventory is up on the market, but they just aren't selling, from what I remember. And yes, silver has gone, ballistic. I got into an argument. Granted, we are hopping all over the place, but everything's so fascinating. Got into an argument about rent over buy. And so I said, Perplexity, Comet, whatever, Kimi K 2.5 from Moonshot AI, great open source trillion parameter model. If you took completely standard and average income on average rent, on average mortgage, with the cost of owning a house, and then the savings of renting and not spending that cost, and you invested that into an REIT, real estate investment trust, reinvested dividends versus, the real estate. If your house is your investment, you made the payments on it. What does it come out to be? The total roughly for the homeowner ended up being 4 to 5 million in like the 30 years. For the real estate investment trust, it was almost double. It was up to 10 million on average rate of return. Also, not even including reinvested dividends and the compounding, but the liquidity and the spreading of risk. You can sell a portion, harder with your house, you have to refinance. Housing is the biggest driver of middle income wealth. And you would have to factor in the discipline of the investor in the rental. But if that investor stayed disciplined for 30 years and didn't buy out, and in 30 years you would want a house, like, let's be fair, you can stop sooner. 20 years, you want one at 10, you want one at 5 at that point. Saying you're 25 out of college, whatever, and we're talking about when you're 55, the outcome at the end. You would have a house the whole time versus in a couple million that it's worth at the end, and sell the house, get the money out of, or sell the equity in the house, get the money out of it, versus 10 mil and what is technically highly liquid. My REIT quarterly you can redeem. You send a request to get it quarterly. I'm sure it's not easy to pull 5 million out of there or 10, but it is an option. It's something to think about, to not just be like, let me buy a house, incur all the costs, and run with that, if you're just maximizing for money at the end of the day. So, not that we're off topic. Tech, AI, and data centers. Last time I made this, I should have already gone back and looked. I'll say that. I'd love to know what AI models were out in GPT-3 or something. It's just fantastic. CapEx projected $500 to $600 billion, up 30 to 40%. It is becoming an unknowable number, and it already has been. The AI is the $500 billion, same thing. When including energy and grid investments, okay, a lot of them have their own grid. Some places are even saying that they shouldn't connect to the grid. They just run basically natural gas turbines. There's a company that makes these. You can find a picture of it. Gas turbines, images that power data centers, made from plain parts. Let's get some images of that. They're just these giant things. They pump gas through, it spins, turns the magnet side of the coil, you get power. And they'll just stack these up. Grok's gotten into some, Colossus has gotten into some trouble. with these. Although they burn really clean. Yeah, modified aircraft engines used in industry. So that way they can data these huge data centers that people are complaining about the cost. There we go. That's the exact picture that I saw. That's a real picture, by the way. The exhaust from it. So it's pretty crazy. So they run the same turbine from the plane, but instead of spinning for lift and thrust, they spin, as always, magnets inside of a coil that pushes electrons and power the data centers from there. Tell me that's a real picture. Notice what AI does. Companies FTAI Aviation, Pro Energy, who actually make plane parts, Airbus aircraft, Boeing 747s, and they just spin them up 48 megawatts. Might need a few of them, but bolted on trailers, installed on site to be on their own grid. Insane as far as electrical and grid purchases and maintenance and upkeep. Anyways, the numbers getting insane. You can't even process it. We don't even know what's going on. And for investors, they are getting tired of it, and they're trying to go off topic yet. We'll come back to Claude Code, what they're doing, and why software has shed over $1 trillion in market cap combined with these new AI and software products coming out. So, crazy number. I think Google's at 180 or more billion this year they're going to spend. And they have their own TPUs, the tensor processing units. Dude, Google, man, I think they're going to absolutely kill it. Meta, name one AI you have used from Meta. Do they own Llama? I believe. Does Meta own Llama or Llama models? Yes or no? Or kinda. Kimmy, being a big model, does tend to give long answers. Llama is not run by Facebook. Is it just the Llama models? I mean, they go up to 700 billion. I know they have 70 billion parameter. I know Meta AI is an app. Yeah, they own the Llama models, 1, 2, 3, 3.2 proprietary models developed and owned by Meta Platforms. I don't know. I mean, I've used them. The 7 billion one, I had it downloaded on my old Samsung phone. And I would use it on a plane if I was curious about something. Of course, they have a partnership, Meta Llama 3. Just because it was small enough to run on a phone that's not optimized for AI. I don't think it was a 24 plus. I don't think they were really into the NPU world yet. But I'm fairly confused with Meta. Oculus is huge and great. Shout out Palmer Luckey. Where are they getting $200 billion to spend? They just cut warrants to their stockholders. They're basically privileges of if then issuing new shares that are worth a certain amount of money to save in order to spend on this thing, which probably isn't great because I have not used hardly any. I mean, literally less than 1% of my AI use has been anything from Meta. And I mean, they're doing another 200 billion. I mean, I hope it works out. I know they got some big brains over there. Anyways, Google's interesting. Now, the fascinating thing is Apple. Now, as a brand new Apple user, shout out D-Brand for the awesome case. A brand new Apple user. Samsung my whole life. My last iPhone was iPhone 3 after my iPod Touch 4 got stolen in 7th grade, which I was very sad about because I just jailbroken it, allegedly. I got an iPhone 3 to replace it. It was round. And I've been LG phone, Samsung. Those are my two. Love the LG V35. Now the 17 Pro. MacBook, M1 Max, whatever, Series 9. Like, I'm in it now. AirPods. Siri, don't listen to this, is not great. It's great for changing my lights. And it talks to ChatGPT. But Apple's been spending almost no CapEx. I think their CapEx went down by 1% in their estimations for this year. So they're going to spend even less than they did. And their stock has been hit a little bit for it. But people are so used to these numbers. How much cash these companies are burning. I'd love to see individually each model on money spent on and money generated from, because like Grok's doing a 500 million run rate. I'm pretty sure they spent more than five. I'm sure they spent more than 500 million on NVIDIA GPUs and other stuff. So I mean, I'm sure every model taken individually is burning cash. Can't tell with Google because it's a part of the whole thing. Maybe theirs is just from how much they have behind it. I mean, theirs is also cheaper. Like, do you count GCP revenue? I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if they were all burning cash. Apple's burning none. So Apple saves $200, $300 billion, which they're the company that has it in cash, and then pays Google $1 billion a year to power the new Siri coming out in the new beta. We might get it in a month or two. Not we, you Apple people. $160 billion ish for Meta this year, or $1 billion. I mean, Apple might be Tim Cook. I'm impressed. I think this is going to work out really well. Because Gemini Pro 3.1, I want to throw these out as like basically timestamps for these. 3.1 just came out, killing it. Just beat like 60% of all benchmarks are owned by 3.1 Pro already from Gemini. And I assume it's 3.0 Pro that's going to be powering Siri, which would be a major upgrade. It's going to be able to do a lot of things. It'll be pretty great. As a big time complexity user, it's going to be pretty great. Apple might dominate stuff because they won't own the model, which they could. And also on the beta version, I actually have this on my action button. Let me try it, see if it'll do it. You can see if I hold it at the top, and it just says ask right there. So I can go on, and they call it private cloud compute. So what's the price of gold done this year? Well, that's statistically, so it thinks a little bit. And I can set it in. It's just called private cloud compute. It might only be in the beta. Pops up really quick, faster than when it goes and asks ChatGPT. And I've only been able to use this since I got the beta 26.3 of iOS. As my last update, actually that's even more interesting, as my last update in October 2023, I don't have real-time data access to provide the current price of gold for 2024. So a little bit behind, but it is here, and it tells me 5 places to go look. Private cloud compute, check it. You can't see it, I'm aware, but private cloud compute, check important info for mistakes. That blue part at the bottom. About. Yeah, and then it just takes you to Apple Intelligence, which I haven't used for almost anything. So it is a miniature test right now on what's going on in the future. I don't know. Unfortunately, Apple may have played this whole thing extremely well. Enough about them. XAI acquired by SpaceX, which is fascinating. I have a little bit of money, and I think both, if not at least SpaceX. I know that I do, because it's in this fund that I'm in that is now just today. The shareholder vote went through and go public, so shout out to that. Along with some Anduril and let's say Palantir, they're public. What am I talking about? So, and that's fascinating. Did it make sense? I'm like, at any point it wouldn't be fraud, but it's just so freaking cool. You can't see. I have a Falcon 9 over here launching posters and the Super Heavy booster. It's at 32 engines over here. Love it. It's great. Satellites, AI satellites in space. I try to be more concise so we can get through some of this. The solar panels themselves work as radiators, so your cooling needs drop, which saves a huge amount of money. The efficiency of the solar panels 24/7. I mean, maybe there's something if they're orbiting the Earth when they're on the dark side away from the sun. And the Earth's also spinning. Anyways, it's way better than it is here. So it's an unbelievable savings on power. I do not understand how they beam the data down, but it's going to be great and actually does make sense. How do space AI satellites transmit data down here. Listen to my keyboard click. Shout out Logitech. I know we can't beam solar energy down because you just irradiate the Earth and destroy the atmosphere. Radio frequency downlinks. Yeah, so I realized that the point of, I just asked the question of what is the point of literally every satellite that we've ever sent up to space, including Starlinks. So that was really great. Emerging, that's what I was looking for anyways, is the new stuff. Companies are exploring optical and laser inter-satellite links between clustered satellites, which can achieve a data center scale throughput. Okay, so a mesh. Challenges bandwidth. 150 daily, but downlink improvements have only increased to a factor of 10. Okay. I thought Starlink already had lasers. Which is great. Save a bunch of water. They just had New Jersey just successfully lobbied to keep a data center out. Which do I understand really? I don't know. Microsoft. Can I say, you can see all my notes. I'd love to know more people that were like professionally into this kind of thing so that I could feel stupid about it. Starlink's laser system currently handles 42 million gigabytes per day. That's almost horrifying. Anyways, I heard Microsoft offered for places where they're building data centers. They're paying the cost or unlinking, not building data centers connected to the grid, just run them on their own. I mean, what a deal, because first of all, they tend to recycle water and cool it back down and reuse it. So, I mean, they use millions of gallons a day. I don't think it's fresh water. I guess it depends, closed loop or open loop. Mostly closed loop or open loop using fresh water daily. And it's better for them to recycle water because they have to temperature, possibly pH, and filter it. Not pH, but filter, I'm pretty sure. I mean, they have to do it with the air. I assume because we're in like a clean room. But it just stays in the loop. Well, be good to know. Closed loop cooling. Oh, hybrid. Okay. Hybrid's even crazier because say they're pulling 1 million gallons a day. Typical data centers uses 300,000. Oh, large facilities. I mean, are they not all large facilities now? Iowa data center used 1 billion. Oracle's latest AI data centers use direct-to-chip cooling, where the system is filled once via tanker and operates as a sealed recirculating system. I mean, that would save a lot of people. Basically, New Jersey, they went on the streets, lined up, yelled at everybody, had this data center pulled. I can't imagine New Jersey's the best place for it, but Virginia or North Carolina has a huge percentage of U.S. data centers just in that one place. I mean, the jobs pay crazy. Blue collar makes a ton of money. Electricians, IT, network admin. I mean, I can't see the overall. I can't see it being a net downside. I mean, yeah. Consume 5 million gallons daily. Is it more expensive to put them on a loop? I'm not sure. Oracle would even talk about stock slipping like crazy. Just issuing more bonds, more debt, which the third time in their history Larry Ellson's done this. Refuses to sell shares. He owns a huge chunk of his company. Way smaller company than some of these other ones, but yet he's worth a crazy amount of money. So, yeah, 5 major cloud players expected to add $2 trillion in AI-related assets by 2030. 40 billion a year depreciation. 400, sorry. I kind of hate asset talk without liability talk sometimes. Grok and XI projected, revenue for $500 million in 2025, $2 billion for 2026. I could see it, especially with the merger, cost savings, more money into it, and so on. At least 25 U.S. data centers. For the record, the one that we saw, or I saw before, would add about 1,500 high-paying jobs for that one building. It's not 10,000. I mean, 25 times 1,500 is a good amount of high-paying jobs. Nearly 100 billion delayed or canceled. 200 environmental groups demanding a halt. I mean, I could say so many things about that. What if they're just repurposed buildings? Which they often don't, but they could. They're growing. It's going to be great. The AI revolution will do many more good things than bad things. And before we move on to energy and nuclear and fission, let's get some good AI news. AlphaFold, Google AI, concise summary for us because we're already running along. If it is called AlphaFold, I want points. You guys, this is what you're here for. This is free, by the way. Doing this for free. Demis Hassabis and John Jumper at Google DeepMind, formerly known as DeepMind, winning the 2023 Lasker Award. Extremely deserve that. Let's move on to AlphaFold 3, expanded to predict interaction between all biomolecules, proteins, DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, RNA, you got me there, peroxyribonucleic acid, ligands and antibodies with 50% improvement. The free AlphaFold protein structure database contains 200 million predicted structures for researchers worldwide, uses deep learning with evoformer blocks, equivalent. Now we're getting a little bit crazy. Foundational tool for biology, accelerating drug discovery and understanding disease mechanisms. So, proteins matter for every single thing, including diseases. If we can figure out how proteins fold, we can slot them correctly and have highly effective or new kinds of drugs, is my understanding. The amount of ways a protein can fold, I cannot explain to you in the English language. I would need the language of creation. It's truly mind-boggling. They've been trying to do this for a long time. I'm sorry I even pulled this up. Don't look. But the predictive abilities of it is really what's needed. And I'm mostly talking about the protein part, not the, the DNA, the RNA ligands. Not even that part. But if we just know how possibly these things fold with AI, the jumps in medicine, I really wish I got more hot takes out on the show and I remembered them. I heard this from Nawal, whom is absolutely fascinating to listen to say the least. And he said, in the future, we will be remembered for very poor, in 2025, 2026, very poor medical procedures because we fix nothing and we remove everything, generally. So, you got to get we just know about everything being removed. Pancreas removed, gallbladder removed. All the different things like that are kind of my quick thoughts of what it is. All we do is remove things and have you live without it. Is it the pancreas or gallbladder or something else? Everyone says you don't need it. If there's something wrong with it, we can take it out. I don't believe that, really. Why would our body, after billions of years, evolve to have what I'm thinking of as the gallbladder for it to be useless? It does something. If it's not the gallbladder, you guys know what I'm talking about. It doesn't do nothing. We don't need it to live. Maybe need it to live longer, live better. There can't be no effects of less organs. Everyone wants a full suite of organs. Fixing this, predicting these proteins, could be the huge next bump in this. We'll wrap up the AI on that. There are some good things and extremely good things that are happening from AI. And I'm not sure what the bad things are. Using a lot of power. It's driving us to create segue to our new thing. Get far more power online. So for here in Utah recently, can I just say, hot take again, I love Threads, the Instagram, Twitter. I don't have it open. The Instagram X version, the text-based social media. I go on there, and that is a goofy, dumb place. I love it to death. Takes I've never seen anywhere else. I'll start with this one. Someone said it is narcissistic to have kids in today's economy. The selfless thing to do is focus on your art, your beauty, your life, something like that. The comments didn't disappoint. They correctly said this is one of the stupidest things I've ever seen, and like this has to be fake. It didn't seem to be fake, but that's Threads. If you're not on Threads and you see it like I do on Instagram all the time, definitely get Threads and go follow like Ben Shapiro and Tucker Carlson, so it'll feed you all the stuff that disagrees with it to get you engaged. I mean, it's amazing. I love it. I saw one about this. Utah, Brigham City, Box Elder County announced in late 2025. For the record, it's February 20th, 2026. For a nuclear energy hub built around the Holtec SMR 300 SMRs. SMRs are awesome. Still in development, but huge C-17 military cargo planes just flew in. See if it says it here. Not seeing it. Several, I think 3 SMRs to be tested at the Utah. I don't even know if it's a national nuclear lab, but I assume all nuclear labs are national. Not sure. So someone on Thread goes, why are we shipping in nuclear reactors here? Like, do we need this? Do we? On the Silicon Slopes over here, do we need more power? How about Utah? Anybody? Utah with its insane growth and fiscal conservatism statewide, which I have to give it to Utah on that, and huge tech hub. Huge is relative, but it is still huge. Compared to places with no tech hub, it's enormous. Compared to actual tech hubs, it's mediocre. If we could be the first state to get severely low energy costs, and we also sell a lot to California already, for the record, my home state of California, and I believe what we sell is typically from coal, so suck on that. If we could get small modular reactors, because I mean they just shipped them in a plane, set them up, test them up. Does it say when they'll be up and running? No, they just want to get started with them. Oh, at least 4 each dual unit plant around 646 megawatts. Layer Atomics microreactor by Air from California. Guys, I'm on it. Are you seeing this? I'm killing it. General fusion. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. The part that I hate. If we could stand up for side of these, test it, make sure it's going good. The reactors are small enough. You can imagine, if you don't know, that they are not light water, sometimes pressurized, depending on the model. I would actually love to know more about this. You stand them up in an array. So say you have this at 4 each dual unit plant. Okay, so 2 to 4 each. If a plant's 2, if a plant's 4, I'm not sure. Total of 646. I'm not sure what. Sorry, semi-trailer sized. So if something were to go critical and you shut it off, one, they wouldn't explode because they often don't run with pressure. They will have cooling when they're running, of course, but if something goes wrong and you shut it off, they can passively cool. So think of if the metal will happen to be red hot, you stop adding heat, it can cool just through the air, which is great. You can't melt. It can handle its heat until it doesn't, but it will. So that's great. Stand up a bunch of them, especially in rural areas, which we have a lot of. Utah's severely focused in basically what's one giant city, as my friend referenced, from north of Brigham City to Spanish Fork or beyond Payson, which is farther, and a little bit beyond that, still on one side of the freeway. So I mean, bring them in. Let's start standing them up. Let's try it out. Get BYU running and UVU on some of these. That is one of the most fantastic now. It is technologically feasible to have near zero energy costs in such insane volume, and that would unlock unbelievable changes in the world, I think. Because you imagine a factory that right now is, instead of putting 30 robots on a line and, little carts to zip around in a huge factory and like really trying to limit their power, to saying you can use as much as you possibly want for very low cost relative to today. It would take huge amounts of nuclear. Solar's great. Fusion, Elon Musk isn't a fan of, but I think that too. We're not stopping the progression of fusion, that's for sure. And Microsoft does have, not with any of these mentioned fusion, not general fusion, they do have a contract signed to get power online for a data center from a fusion reactor either this year or the next. I think next year, which is awesome. And spoiler alert, fission reactors, these nuclear reactors, split an atom, releases a huge amount of heat, energy really. That was the nuclear force holding all the pieces together. Once that splits, it gets crazy. Fusion, you smash them together, still generates heat, way more heat. I believe tens of thousands of degrees is what large-scale nuclear reactors operate at. Fusion starts around 10 million. And I think that both those numbers are in Celsius. Unsure. I'm sorry to bring Celsius into this. So it'll also be great. Moving on from that. Basically, small modular reactors coming to Utah, get tested. Let's test them, make sure they're safe, and let's go at it. It will bring down California prices too, apparently. U.S. Air Force flew them in, which is awesome. Trump media announced a $6 billion merger. Now, the number I remember hearing Trump is that he started around $6-7 billion into politics as his net worth. It's a merger with Trump Media, which is Truth Social, and I think separate from crypto, but I'm sure it's all entangled. It's all Trump. Involving fusion energy ambitions focused on power for AI data centers. Seemingly, for me, out of nowhere, they announced this merger, that Trump Media is merging with this fusion reactor company to create Trump Media and Technology. That seems like bullcrap to me. I mean, you can do it. It's a free market. But, and let's get into more of this. General Fusion going public, reverse merger with the SPAC, yeah. But down here, we'll come back to the autos and space. Because I have at least one story to get into about EVs, and we can wrap this up. UAE, shocker, firm, tied to National Security Advisor Sheikh Tahnoun, bought roughly 49% stake in Trump family crypto venture World Liberty Financial for about $500 million. Total linked investment in Trump crypto project expected around $2 billion, a huge percentage of Donald Trump himself's net worth. Senate Democrats requested probe into the stake over national security and corruption concerns. I remember hearing a lot of talk about Joe Biden's son, not Beau Biden. He's dead. Oof, name escapes me. Hunter Biden, sacks of cash, pretty much, allegedly, from all these companies on the board of Burisma, the Ukraine power company. What does he know about power companies and utilities? Nothing. What does Trump know about fusion? Anybody in the Trump hotel resort space know about fusion? Or really crypto? I mean, if you have that much money sitting around, there's a certain level of fame where crypto becomes ridiculously profitable overnight, because you can back these new things or whatever. Like, they have huge Bitcoin mining facilities and all these things that they can raise all this money for. I think it's crazy. The Biden family made a ton of money off political power. The Trump family is making a ton of money off political power. I don't know if Hunter Biden crossed the $100 million mark with all of his shady crap, and Joe Biden as well, it seems. I don't think they got anywhere close to a $500 million stake buyout, up to $2 billion. I don't know about fusion, don't know about crypto, what it has to do with anything. If it has anything to do with the president, I sure hope it doesn't. I sure hope they did it the right way, because that looks terrible. And the plane was worth $200 million from the UAE. I mean, there's a way to do it. Merging a fusion reactor company with your echo chamber Twitter is nuts. I love a ton of things Trump's done. Rubio will be great. JD Vance. We got some heavy hitters. Trump's had a good time. I hope he's on top. Hope he fixes a bunch of things. Really, my number one thing is government spending, and nothing's changing that. Trump will break his own record and Biden's record, and everybody was spending and debt, and it's going to be crazy. I'm in gold for a reason. So I think that all looks pretty ridiculous. Last part, we'll finish it up, unless I think of more fascinating things. EV sales rose 20%. China about 71% of global EV sales. Can I be honest? Didn't know that. I was in Spain and Portugal this year for 2 weeks. And they do import BYDs. They look nice. They look great. They have a lot of random luxury features that people make a huge deal about. They also do self-driving. They do massage chairs. They have huge captain seats. And actually a lot of car companies in a lot of places globally, not here. I don't know what that's about. Some electric Lexus van, I think, has amazing looking seating in the back. Full screen, 2 huge recliners. I mean, it's just awesome. Not here. I mean, for the moms at least, can we get some of the stuff in here? So, wow, China's global EV sales coming from China. I assume not to China because BYD does a lot. Also, the head of BYD, Warren Buffett had money in there. They call him the Chinese Warren Buffett. They did good. Also stands for Build Your Dreams, by the way. U.S. EV sales about, 2% lower than 2024. New vehicles down slightly. So that's fascinating. The EV story, which, man, we're wrapping up here. San Francisco had a several-day blackout, roughly 5 days. San Francisco is testing Waymo self-driving cars and Tesla full self-driving unsupervised. So typically at the time it was someone sitting shotgun with Tesla and then you would ride in the back, but nobody in the driver's seat, which is pretty cool. Still a lot to work out. The supervised self-driving is insanely safe, 8 times safer than human drivers. Unsupervised, nobody's sitting in shotgun. Sorry, nobody's sitting in driver's seat, not so much yet. Power goes out, stoplights go out, Waymos take it with all their extreme level of software and extremely fine-tuned and LiDAR. They take no stoplights as a 4-way stop, and it basically just broke all their brains. There were tow trucks coming around picking them all out. All the power's out. Tesla uses cameras, not so much on LiDAR, which is laser. Don't know what the IDAR stands for. So it just runs a bit more rugged. So they saw that it wasn't working. They would stop and go, and they were working fine for the blackout. Waymos get towed away. Lights are still out. Day 2, whatever. Gas stations need electricity for the electric pumps. They're obviously not hand pumps to get the gasoline, so you can't pump gasoline in the area of the blackout. Obviously, you can leave the area of the blackout, go get gas somewhere else, come back. Load up some gas cans as well. Teslas, though, for EVs and cars that I don't have an EV. Pretty sure there's adapters and you can all charge at Tesla stations. Is kind of the point of the Tesla stations. But the new 3.0-ish Tesla supercharger stations combine EV chargers with the Tesla mega packs with solar panels. I'm not sure how many brand new ones they have there, but they at least had some, or generally speaking, have these charging stations that have huge battery packs. So you can't pump gas. Even if you have backup generators, the internet being down in the area, you can't accept payments. So you still can't get gasoline out, even with backup generators. But you can still charge your EV during a blackout, which is crazy. And if you charge at home and you have solar panels, batteries, most popular being the Tesla Powerwall, now you can still charge your EV at home. You can still charge your EV at the EV charging station, but you cannot pump gas in the area. I'll admit that, and so on. And they can still self-drive because they're still connected, and they do edge compute. So the AI chip in there is processing what it's seeing. So in a blackout, you can't pump gas, can't refill your car unless you leave. You can still charge your Tesla or your EVs at home and at the station and beyond. And Tesla has mega packs built onto trailers. So they can pull in these huge fully charged mega packs. And I believe they have attached superchargers. So it's a mobile full station. And so you can charge from there, and they'll bring those to places gone through, weather emergencies, hurricanes and whatnot. So you can begin charging and driving like normal, leave the area, whatever it may be. So during a blackout, most reliably, unless, and I doubt San Francisco does, you have extra gasoline at home to get you through a few days possible. Maybe you can drive less, I'm sure. But you can refill your Tesla. That's sick. That's awesome that you can do that. So I thought that was a pretty cool story. So Teslas were self-driving around malfunctioning Waymos and still being charged when you couldn't pump gas. Give that tech 5 years. That'd be pretty sick. On from there, we already said SpaceX bought XAI. That does actually make a pretty good amount of sense. SpaceX also pivoted from Mars base to Moon base, so they can start, they said, making satellites there and shooting them off, which is utterly fascinating. Also, Artemis 3 did announce March 3rd, official launch day, going farther from the Earth than any human's ever gone, and not landing on the moon. People say return to the moon. That's true, but they're not landing. They're just slingshotting off of us, going there, looping, coming back. But farther anybody's gone. SpaceX, company record, shocker, 165 orbital missions. They're catching skyscrapers. The math on that being, that I saw, is it's like taking a toothpick, right? You can say my pinky, for crying out loud. Flying it over the Empire State Building, stopping midair, flying it back over the Empire State Building, which I've never been to, but is a huge building, and landing that toothpick on a shoebox is what they're doing. That's not counting catching it in the tower. That's just in general reusability. SpaceX accounts for 85% of total mass cargo delivered to orbit last year. That is not a monopoly, but could be. Also, shout out to Blue Origin as well. They're catching stuff. They have some cool things going on. Catching's a big word. They are relanding and possibly reusing things now. So SpaceX is dominating there, deploying tons of satellites. SpaceX's Starlink spent $17 billion to acquire basically cellular licenses so you can have SpaceX phone service. That's going to be wild because I think phone service companies are not adapting well. AT&T, American Telegraph and Telecommunications, something like that. Been around for a while. All their websites, interfaces, contracts, things are old, so that should be great. Company record, what was I saying? They own a huge chunk of the vast majority of mass delivered to orbit. Also, you go back, mid 2010, SpaceX is really starting to ramp it up, get successful launches. Before that and around then, U.S. satellites were a very small percentage of total satellites. And I think without SpaceX, we would still be and have accepted that and be far behind in that race. So I truly think that SpaceX has done a huge magnitude of work in national security for getting us to be, and now we're in the 20s, 30%, something like that. Should we just find out? Yeah, we should. From SpaceX's efforts, the U.S. went from what percentage of small satellites before to what percentage now, thanks to them. What did I say? 3% to 20 or 30? I've been hitting a lot of these numbers. We'll see if this one lands as well. I will really never forgive myself for being in elementary, middle school when Tesla finally landed the Falcon 9 boosters, and like they just hit that point of success. After that, still some hiccups, but that point of success, for not being there in person, still won't forgive myself for not having seen one now. These numbers might be way crazier than I thought. I haven't looked. I'll never forgive myself for not being there. I love videos of those rockets. Okay. SpaceX, while we're going 2019, pre-efforts was comparatively modest. While exact pre-link statistics aren't cleanly isolated, small satellites were 75% of spacecraft launched in 2014, with North America not yet the dominant region. Now, 66% of all small satellites launched since 2013 are owned by SpaceX alone. North America now leads with 49%. In 2022, small satellites represented 95% of all spacecraft. The difference between small satellites are something like 50 kilometers, whatever a kilometer is above the Earth. Major ones that you're probably used to seeing pictures of are something like 300 to 500. Which helps with latency, especially with internet. It's a really, really big deal. And remember, we talked about the lasers interconnect all of them in between also. The SpaceX now handles 95% of US satellite launches and 60% of global commercial satellites. So I'm sure they do not launch only SpaceX satellites, but I mean, they're all pretty much everything. All the worthwhile ones, SpaceX satellites. The inflection point was Starlink. Before SpaceX constellation ramp up, small satellites were a niche segment dominated by various international academic and government CubeSat programs. Starlink shifted the entire market. SpaceX and OneWeb combined on 75% of all launched, and SpaceX is 2/3. That's amazing. That's pretty much all that I got. We can go speed run. Newmont, unbelievable beat on earnings again, 5 quarters in a row. I guess others beat more, but they just did it again. Dividends are down from where I remember them being. So good for Newmont. Gold. Now we're screwed. The DXY, kind of rough. Here's 5-year to make it look chill. Here's 6-month, kind of crazy. Topping at 100, bottoming at 95. I do think it has room to go down quite a bit as long as debt. It just goes completely unhandled. Silver. And it's just a perfect chart. The week's great. The 1 month's down. 3 months up. What a time that was. But guys, let me tell you, what a time that was. Now, I sold like all of my silver. Not all. I still have a couple tens of ounces, but like around here. And I sold a kilo, like back here somewhere. I know, but at least it'll be immortalized in the podcast forever. Anyways, Look the Duke Show, episode 007. Thanks for watching again. I love yapping about all this stuff. Plenty more to come. Good to be back. Thanks for watching. Like it. I'd love to see it. Subscribe. I'd love to see it. Yeah, good to be back. I should have been studying, but I didn't. Instead of teaching. And the more we do, the more prepared I'll be, and the better they'll get. So it is only uphill from here. Stay frosty. We'll see you next time.